We're with Adam Feldman. Adam is a criminal defense attorney in Phoenix, Arizona. He's agreed to answer some online questions. These questions are specifically related to high-profile types of clients. Adam, with that said, let's go into the first question that was posted. When representing high-profile clients, is there a way to protect their identity?
Well, Ryan, it depends on the type of case. Certain cases, they're so high-profile to start that it's much tougher, while other cases, you can definitely keep them under the radar. For example, if with the more violent crimes, the things that hit the media before anybody even hires an attorney, at that point, it's already out there. It's in the media, and then later on, somebody comes and hires me. The best thing we can do at that point, we try to put a gag order on the press. We can try to remove the press from the courtroom, and there are several different techniques that are successful in removing the press from the courtroom. And that's important because if your client's in custody, the last thing you want is that news, that evening they're on the news in stripes. I mean, nobody wants to see that. So those are the more high-profile, violent types of cases. That said, there are a lot of cases that happen, to high-profile clients, athletes, actors, things like that aren't as high-profile. For example, DUIs or domestic violence, things like that. Depending on how early the client contacts you, and a lot of times the client will have you a connection with you for other cases or other types of legal matters. They get in touch with me that evening. If that's the case, the best thing we do to try to avoid the media getting involved is to keep them out of jail. And if we can get in there early, we're very successful. So once somebody is booked, that photograph goes up there and it's public information and it's all over the place. But if a client is not booked, if we can work out a way where they can be cited and released, or at least if the police officer can hold on to this for a little bit and take it through charging through the prosecutor before they're booked, it makes a huge difference. There's so much more we can do on the front end. The other way, after somebody has either been arrested or cited, is we can waive their appearance at a lot of the hearings. So oftentimes we have clients who the last thing they want is to be seen in court. I've had cases where the client has never had to step foot in the actual courtroom, so the press shows up, but they're not there. And then maybe on the final setting, they're doing something over the phone. So, the media doesn't want to put that on TV. So that's something that really helps maintain the privacy for these clients.
Okay, excellent. The next question is actually pretty specific, but it does cover the similar topic. So I'm a non-attorney that represents athletes in various capacities when they need a criminal attorney. I need to ensure that privacy is a big priority. Can you accomplish this?
And so, yeah, it's a similar question, more specific. The answer is it depends. Like I said, I've represented athletes before where, of the 15 hearings that went on, they weren't present at a single hearing, and then only on the last hearing did they appear, but they appeared telephonically. The news or the media never even caught wind of that because, as I discussed with the last question, they were never booked into jail, so there's no booking photo, and they don't show up at any of the hearings. So if anybody was following them, it's not as if they're following them to court and it becomes this big story. So that's the easiest way to protect a client's anonymity. If it becomes high-level profile, you think of your O.J. Simpson case where it made the news first. Really, at that point, the initial damage is done. The best you can do is to try to keep the press out of the courtroom after that, and we've been successful with that as well. Okay,
excellent. Next question. Have you touched on this too, but have you represented any high-profile clients before? And if so, who were they?
Definitely. I represent lots of high-profile clients throughout Arizona. Who are they? That's the trick question. If I answer the question, I would be showing that I can't really do my job. I can't tell you who it is. A lot of them are, they're on the media, and I'm associated with it, so I'm sure you can Google it, but I'll always protect my client's identity, so I can't say who it is. but I've represented athletes, I've represented actors, I've represented celebrity chefs, you know, so on and so forth. You know, some are A-list, some are more C-list, but no matter whether it's a, you know, a media mogul, an A-lister, a C-lister, or really anybody off the street who just wants to protect their identity and their privacy, we can accomplish all of those things for any of our clients.
Okay, and the final question we have is, does the nature of the crime affect the level of privacy that can be obtained?
It really does. There are a lot of things that will affect the level of privacy, from the type of court, misdemeanor versus felony. Felony is a much bigger deal and much more likely to get media attention. The misdemeanor, on the other hand, not such a big deal. You know, if they're out of state, we do everything we can to keep them out of state. A lot of times, you have spring training here in Arizona, so you have a lot of athletes coming here during spring training. Unfortunately, they get in trouble, but then they're gone. You know, they're in their hometown, they're playing, you know, whatever state that is, and so we keep them there. We ask for permission from the court, but the way that they're charged and where they're charged totally matters. You'll have 2 DUIs, identical offenses. In one court, you might have a judge who wants them present at every single hearing. Now, I've never had a court issue that order for any of my clients who are requesting to remain out of state or to remain anonymous to the extent that they could. But yeah, it depends. You know, some courts are a lot stricter than others, but there's always a way to offer some additional protection when it comes to privacy, and we're very successful in accomplishing that.
Okay, excellent. If you have any additional questions for Adam, all you need to do is post them in the comments section below. He's agreed to get back to you with answers. And with that said, thanks for your time, Adam.
Thanks, Ryan. You know, the biggest thing, and some of these questions were pretty specific, but when it comes to protection of identity and all those, it really is specific, fact-oriented questions. You know, I would like to know where the court is, what the offense is, how things are moving, so that I can really give a better answer. So feel free to call me. That's my cell phone, 602-540-7887, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Ryan.